There you go. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the last week of the Sparkling Box. Um, yeah, it's gone. You guys all got the recordings for the last 2 weeks, and we're wrapping it up this week. If you have any questions about the last two tastings or last two wines that we tasted, I'm more than happy to answer any of those today as well. But we are tasting this guy. This is the last one in the box. It's the Prosecco. So it's a non-vintage Demar extra dry rosé prosecco is what we're tasting today. Um, yeah. Just a few announcements. First and foremost, happy Thanksgiving Eve, happy Turkey Day Eve, everyone. I don't know what your plans are, but wish you all happy Thanksgiving with your family and friends and loved ones. Um, And just so you know, the enrollment, I just process all the wines for next month. So next month, next week, next Tuesday is the pickup day slash delivery day for those of you in the area. And the theme of next month is Puglia. So we're going to southern Italy. So there is going to be quite a bit of pretty robust red wines in that box. But I also threw in some white and a rosé. But yeah, it's a really fun box, really fitting for this time of the year as well. So yeah, anyways, that's what we're doing next month. There has been a lot of questions, and I kind of lagged on it just because I was traveling. But we are doing Boj Box again this year. So all the sign up email will go out. So yeah, sorry, it's just been traveling and didn't get my app together before I left. But yeah, that email will go out, get everybody signed up, and then we'll get the Boj Box rolling next month. We'll get it all enrolled next month, and then we'll get started with our tasting probably in in January. Um, all right. Any questions about any of that before we get into the wine? Cool. Let's start with the man. Also, if I don't make any sense tonight, just blame it on my jet lag. All right, here we go. Here's a map of Italy. Should look pretty familiar. We've seen this map many, many times. And where we are, when you're talking about Prosecco, it is not only is a name of the grape, so it used to be called Glera, or it still is called Glera. It's used interchangeably. So the grape that's used to make Prosecco is Glera, or it's also called Prosecco grape now. So either way, whatever you want to call it, but it's Prosecco or grape Glera, which is a white grape variety. But it is also it can only come, just like how Champagne can only come from Champagne region of France. Prosecco can only come from a particular region within Italy, which is up here. So that's what's a little bit different, right? Like Champagne, similar to Champagne, where it is a regional name for a wine. Cava is the one that's a little bit different. It's more of a method description wine. So it doesn't have to come from a particular region. It can come from pretty much anywhere within Spain. But as long as it follows a certain production method. But Prosecco, just like Champagne, has to come from a northeastern um, region of Italy in Veneto. So this is where we are near the city of Venice and Treviso. But if you look more closely, so it's quite a large area, Veneto, right? It covers quite a bit of ground. As you can see, this is the Alps, the mountains that come down. The Dolomites are up here, right? And then it comes down. So it's coming up right into the hillside. And this will come up as I'm talking through Prosecco quality level as well. But as you can see around the town of Treviso, between Venice and Treviso, and to the right, all this is pretty flat. There's not much of a mountain. But as you go more north and as you go more west, you start to see a lot more mountains and hillsides appear. And this is where you're going to find the best Prosecco. So Prosecco quality level varies widely, and a lot of it has to do with where it comes from, and really where it has to do a lot to do with whether it's on the hillside or not, just like many other wine regions in the world. So if you go a little bit more, if you look a little more closely in, this is kind of how that Prosecco kind of breaks it into. So Prosecco has Oh, by the way, trail, just talking about Prosecco in a second. I was looking this up again just to make sure that it was still holding because I know it's been on this pattern for the last 5 to 8 years or so. But Prosecco is the fastest selling sparkling wine in America. Not only the fastest selling, it is the most sold sparkling wine in America. It has actually outsold champagne by almost double since 2018. So when we're talking about sparkling wine in America, we're talking about just shit ton of Prosecco. I assume a lot of that has to do with the bottomless mimosa that is so ubiquitous everywhere in America. A lot of just kind of grocery shelf wine Prosecco and that kind of just like bottomless mimosa brunch kind of situation Prosecco. So it's no wonder that Prosecco gets a really bad rap, and a lot of people, and quite frankly, justifiably so, a lot of Prosecco on the market is a lot of terrible shit. It's not good. It's a lot of mass-produced commodity wine that is just pumped full of sugar, just kind of make it affordable and easy to drink to also hide a lot of production flaws. When you add a lot of sugar, it hides a lot of the flaws. And then not without much personality. And a lot of that is essentially right here, the Prosecco DOC, which is a regional appellation. So it comes from, and as you can see, it covers quite a bit of a large ground, all the way from not only from Treviso and Venice, but extending west, north, all the way east, all the way to almost the Trieste. Um, so it's a large place where Prosecco can come from, and a lot of this is mostly all hillside. Um, I mean, sorry, flatlands. So a lot of flatland, these kind of regional Prosecco is where you're gonna find a lot of that kind of supermarket quality, mimosa quality prosecco that is so just flooded the market and has become very popular. But however, even within this prosecco, and by the way, the tonight's prosecco is a regional base level prosecco DOC. It's not a DOCG. We've had DOCG level prosecco in the past, but I intentionally chose this prosecco because this month's theme was sparkling, but I really wanted to focus on because sparkling in general is quite expensive because it's more labor intensive. I want to showcase that there is a way to find excellent quality sparkling without breaking your wallet or bank. And then Prosecco, particularly the regional level Prosecco, is a great way to find one of these values, especially is the case here, which is this is actually second label of a reputable producer. They make only DOCG wines in much of these more prestigious hillside sites. So all the fruit that didn't quite make it into their exclusive brand, the first line, because they were too young for whatever reasons, they use that same estate grown, hillside grown fruit for this base level DOC, the Prosecco. So in that case, you get this excellent quality of a hillside fruit, despite being, though maybe a little bit young, you get the same quality of fruit that you would find in a much higher quality Prosecco. And because of that, because the second label, you get excellent value. So that's kind of the reason why I picked it here. So with the Prosecco regular, just know that's the base level. Most are not great, but you can find some, but you kind of have to do your homework. Whether take my strategy of trying to find the second label of a reputable producer, or you just kind of have to know that somebody who's in here, producer who's doing things a little differently, or getting fruit from different parts of Prosecco and maybe declassifying it. But yeah, so there's Prosecco, and then there's a Prosecco Trieste and then Prosecco Treviso, which is a smaller region now, right? You see a little bit darker blue here, and then one on the right. Step up from the basic Prosecco, just because the regulation gets tighter, so you can only grow so much fruit per vine per hectare. So it's a density regulation as well as a production regulation. So there's a quality restriction that's put on there. But nonetheless, the fruit that comes from here is still quite flat from coming from the flatland. So it's not that much better, but it is a little bit better than the regular base level Prosecco. Now, let's go a little bit closer in. So around the city, town of Corneliano, this whole area is called Corneliano Valdobbiadene. And then even within that, there's also separate areas called Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore. That's now we're entering into DOCG area. So the not only is the area getting much smaller, but now we're really getting into the hillside here. And so the strict quality level gets also more strict here, so you can grow less fruit per vine. The production method also gets a little bit tighter, regulation gets tighter. So this is where you're going to start finding real quality Prosecco. So anytime you're looking for some quality Prosecco, just look for a name that has Conegliano Valdobbiadene in it. And then if you want to take it even further up, and I don't think it says it on this particular map, but within the Conegliano Valdobbiadene, there are these little sites called rive, R-I-V-E in Italian, and it means bank or slope in Italian. So within Conegliano Valdobbiadene, there are particularly 43 different hilly sites that really look that are known to produce exceptional fruit. Just because, as we all know, we've talked about many times, in viticulture that are usually grown on a hillside produce much better fruit, just because it's exposure to the sunlight, as well as all the infertility because of all the rainwash. The topsoil is much lower there on the hillside as well. So if you're looking for an excellent top of the level kind of a wine, Prosecco, then look for that word rive, R-I-V-E in the regional designation. Then now you're starting to really get into the top level Prosecco. And this particular red area right here, Cartese area right here, this is essentially the creme of the creme of Prosecco. This is considered the best, smallest area, tiny. This whole just a red area is 107 hectares. It's a blanket of a hilly vineyard size right outside the town of Valdobbiadene. So if you're really looking for top, and this is actually quite hard to find in America, Cartese. If you do come across Cartese in a wine shop, I highly recommend you pick up a bottle and try it because it will be nothing like any other Prosecco you've ever tried. Prosecco is a really fun area. Like I said, it gets a really bad rap in this country, justifiably so. But this is actually a really fun area to go through and then kind of like what we're doing about what we're talking about Boj Box. We're talking about Boj Box, but like this idea of this terroir, right? Really going around, tasting, traveling through the space, region through wine. This is actually a great way to do it, just because there's so many different hills, different aspects, and different areas, and different quality level. It's also a gorgeous area. If you guys ever get a chance to go there, I highly recommend taking a visit to Prosecco area. But anyways, know that Cartese is the best. Now, there's this area called Asolo, also a DOCG level, very high quality Prosecco. This is a little bit of an offshoot because the rest of it is essentially here. The best quality Prosecco is all congregated. The best sites are congregated here. But there's a river that runs through here, Piave River, that right in between the Cartese and Asolo. And then just south of it, there are these two sites where they're known to, hilly sites that are known to grow quite well, good Galera Prosecco here as well. So these are also in the very highly esteemed DOCG Prosecco category as well. But another thing that really sets Asolo apart from the rest is that it is the only appellation that is allowed to put extra Brut on their label, which let's talk about that now. Oh, before we get to that sugar level, now I want to share some pictures. So, I said it was hilly and it was pretty. So this is essentially what Conegliano Valdobbiadene looks like. So like imagine traveling through there, tasting wines from this site versus this site along this flatter side versus here. Some of these have different aspects, right? Like this, the vines run, the rows run, top to bottom on our picture, but here it runs to left and right. So all these different things matter in terms of creating different styles and different kind of fruit. So this is what I mean by it's kind of really fun to to travel through this region by wine, but it's also a very fun place to go to because you can travel through here. I've always wanted to do a bike trip through here. I think it'd be super fun, but I haven't been able to do that yet. But yeah, this is essentially what it looks like, and then these hillsides are where you want all your wines come from. And in fact, this is actually the vineyard site where this fruit for this wine comes from, or one of the vineyard sites where the fruit for this wine comes from. So as you see, there are hills, it's surrounded by the hills. It's not a flat area at all, even though it is a base level Prosecco. Uh, Prosecco. Oh yeah, the sugar level. That's what we're going to talk about. So let me get out of this thing real quick. So, or I just leave it there. The Prosecco sugar level is a way less defined or way less narrowly defined than Champagne. Remember, Champagne had all this, Brut dosage, Brut, extra Brut, and all of that, and all the way up to Doux. But there's only really three that you need to worry about in Prosecco. So Brut, whenever you see Brut and Prosecco, it can range all the way from 0, which it would be Brut dosage or Brut nature in Champagne, going all the way up to 12 grams per liter. So the range is quite wide in Prosecco. Then the extra dry is the next category, which is what today's wine is 12 to 17 grams per liter. So it's got quite a bit of a RS that's on there. And then this is really misleading, but dry in Prosecco is actually 17 to 32 grams per liter. So whenever you see Prosecco and it says dry, don't think that it's actually going to be dry in American palate because it's actually quite not. That's why when you see a lot of a grocery shelf like a La Marca, it says dry on there, but it's allowed up to 32 grams per liter. That's why it's quite sweet. There's a lot of a sugar that's been added there. And I mentioned earlier that Asolo is the only place where extra brut labeling is allowed. So if you ever come across Asolo Prosecco, and if you see extra brut, that's essentially the brut dosage, the brut nature or zero dosage of a Prosecco world, and it's only 0 to up to 3 grams per liter is what's allowed. But Asolo is the only one who's allowed to put on extra brut. Everywhere else follows that brut, extra dry, and dry. Just so you know. All right, let's then finally, what sets Prosecco apart from unique from Champagne, Cava, or Cremant, the first 3 weeks, the wines that we mentioned, is that we've tasted is that first 3 weeks there were wines all made through a traditional method or method champenois, the Champagne method, right? It goes through 2 fermentations, and the second fermentation happens inside the bottle. But with Prosecco, it's called Charmat method, CHARMAT, or tank method, or Martinotti method. Those are all interchangeably used, so those all mean the same thing. So the reason why it's called tank method, because everything's done in a tank. The second fermentation, Prosecco does go through 2 fermentations, just like Champagne does. But the second fermentation happens inside the tank, and that's why it's called the tank method. So it happens inside of usually a stainless steel tank that is built to or engineered to withstand a high pressure. So you make the first base wine just like you would with Champagne or Cava or Cremant or any other wine. So you make the base first wine, and then afterwards you leave it in the tank. You usually drain it off, rack it off, just get it off the lees, and then you put it in the tank, and then you add some sugar, you add some yeast, and then you cap that. You close off the lid on that tank. Obviously, yeast eats up that sugar, pees out alcohol, farts out CO2. That CO2 has nowhere to go because it's inside of a tank, so it gets dissolved into the wine. But unlike Cava, unlike Method Champenois, where it's all about leaving it on the lees, right, to pick up that autolytic, savory quality, that leesy, bready quality of Method Champenois or traditional method, Prosecco is really all about preserving the freshness of the fruit. It's all about really the pure varietal character of the variety, the grape variety, rather than putting on this kind of secondary flavors and aromas. So as soon as the secondary fermentation is done and all the gases, the CO2 is basically dissolved into the wine, They will literally just filter out the sediment and then just bottle it and then they sell. And or in this case, they will usually adjust. There's a dosage added, a little sugar added to adjust the sugarness level, and then it's just bottled and sold off right away. So there's no uh, aging requirement with prosecco, and this part of the reason why prosecco is cheaper, because it takes time, labor intensive, opportunity cost of having to sit on the wine, having to go there and riddle the wine at all times to make the wine, like in the method champenois, versus prosecco is all in one in tank, and then you just filter, bottle, add a little bit of sugar, and then you can sell it off right away. And honestly, that's probably a reason why Prosecco has also become really popular because it's a lot friendlier on the wallet than champagne is. Um, but there you go. So that's what's also different about what makes Prosecco unique and different from the rest of sparkling wine world. Right. Let's talk about who makes this wine. Where you go? Come on. All right. These slick looking Italians over here. I have no idea who this gentleman in the middle is. I tried to find out, but I couldn't find it. I assume it's their dad, but who knows? But as far as I can tell, what if I could find was there's third generation Suto family, Sutto. This is Luigi Suto. This is Stefano Suto. They are currently the ones that are in charge of the winery, the family winery. They are in the Valdoviedene region. They started out with a small family plot between Treviso and Venice. And then since then they've grown, and then now uh, three different wine brands in three different regions. So there's one in Piave on the left of that the river that I was telling you about. And then, but the one that really applies to us is the one in Valdoviedene. There's a brand and winery that's exclusively dedicated to Prosecco under the name Bastizo. So anytime you see word wine brand named Bastizo is made by Suto family, and that's all coming from that hillside fruit that I was telling you about. All that Valdoviedene fruit, um, but they, I guess they had extra fruit that's left over, and instead of putting that whatever wine that fruit that didn't make it into their first line, they essentially created a second line called Damar, which is what we have today. Um, and so this is essentially the same fruit as what would go on their the first line. It's just a younger, from a younger vineyards and younger vines, is essentially what we have, but all in the hillside fruit. And that's part of the reason why this is, I like this Prosecco quite a bit, but it is also very friendly to the wallet. Uh, the Suter family has been making wine here since 1933, first producing wines from their family vineyards along the Piave River between Treviso and Venice. But the family holding has gradually expanded to include vineyards and wineries in three different regions, like I mentioned, Piave, Valdo, Viadene. They also make some wine in Collio, which is in Friuli region. Um, and then but I also found out that and as you can tell, they don't look much like winemakers that we usually feature here. But it seems like they've really focused on expanding the family business to kind of into a brand. So Suto family, they have a Suto family group that is not only the winery, but they also have what they call experience aspect, which is that run hotels, restaurants, and cafes in different brands all over Europe and some in Asia. But for our interest, for our purposes, they farm 75 hectares of vineyards spread across those three regions that I mentioned. So rather large. 75 hectares is nothing in the grand scheme of wine world. I mean, we have California wineries that have 1 million hectares, um, and they're not even the biggest. But so 75 hectares is nothing. But in terms of what we normally feature, these are one of the bigger wineries that we feature, but they still hold on to the same kind of principles and all the things we hold dear, which is, the spontaneous fermentation, minimum intervention style, essentially, of making, trying to keep it as traditional as possible. Um, so this is all, what is this wine? This is all estate grown Prosecco or Glera. and a little bit of Pinot Noir. I could not find the blending percentage here for the life of me. I looked at so many different sites trying to find what the difference here, what the blending percentage was here, but I could not find that. But I do know that this is Glera and Pinot Noir, grown chemical free on gravelly lime and claystone soil. Also, this Prosecco area is all basically there's a lot of limestone that runs through it, especially in the hillside, and it's another reason why hillside is a prize for the uh, sparkling wine. Gentle direct pressing, meaning as soon as the fruits come in, they just press the juice off the skins, and then they cold settle it, meaning they leave it in a tank in a temperature control cold refrigerated stainless steel tank for a little bit, so all the kind of sediments settle to the bottom. It's just a way of clarifying the wine. Just you don't get a lot of sediments in there. They rack off just a clear portion of it, and the reason why you keep it cold is if you don't keep it cold, it's going to start fermenting right away. And the whole point of it is to separate the clear portion of the grape must off the lees before it starts fermenting. And a lot of the reason why you do that is to kind of preserve. Anytime you hear cold settling or before prior to fermentation, what it's telling you is that winemaker is trying to hold on to these really delicate aromas and flavors of the grape varieties, and knowing that Prosecco is all about the fruit, right? It's about the expressiveness of the freshness of the fruit. It makes sense why they will go that kind of length to do so. So cold settling and then fermentation in temperature controlled stainless steel tank, and then the second fermentation in the stainless steel tank as well, going through that Charmat method that I said. So the pitch the yeast, little sugar, let the second fermentation happen in the tank. I couldn't verify the exact dosage level on this thing either. But as we know, like I said earlier, this is extra dry, means this is anywhere between 12 to 17 grams of liter, which is a little bit higher than what we normally do. But which we'll talk more about that when we get to tasting it. But to me, even though at 12 to 17 grams per liter, this wine seems incredibly balanced and doesn't seem out of line. A lot of or sugar doesn't seem out of line. A lot of that is because of all that acid that's built here, just having grown on the hill as well. That's it. Pretty straightforward. Any questions about the wine or anything else before we get into the wine? Get into tasting. Cool. Let's taste it. Who wants to take the appearance? Bueller. Bueller.
I'll
All right.
I'll step up again. I'm no problem.
Wait.
whatever you
Dave
like.
said he was going to do it
Who?
first.
Someone else? It's okay.
Dave, you want to do it, or you want to?
Sure, I
Whatever
would
you want
call this clear.
to. This one is definitely clear.
Yes. Um, in terms of an intensity of color, I mean, obviously I don't know much about Rosé Prosecco, but I would say it's not pale, so maybe medium minus intensity.
Yeah, I'll call this one medium minus. Yeah, somewhere between pale and medium. Yeah, sure.
Yep. It is definitely a pink on the light side.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I wouldn't say I mean, like most Prosecco is not super, super bubbly. Um, but it has sort of a nice line of bubbles around the edges. Can't remember what we call that, but
Yeah. So yeah. Let's talk about that for a second. One, it's clear that there's bubbles in this wine, right? I mean, you pour it in the air, you can visually see that there are bubbles coming out of the wine.
yeah.
Now, also look at the surface of the wine. You see how much there's actually, it's almost like a beer foam, like a beer head. There's like a bit of a collection of foams that are coming on there.
Mhm.
That's usually to me a sign of a Charmat method.
Okay.
When it's a champagne method, it doesn't usually collect like that. Or if it is champagne method, it's very young. It doesn't spend that much time. Um, Very like entry level champagne or entry level cava may have some of this going on, but usually the Charmat is where we really see this. So this is visually, I can only tells me that it hasn't spent that much time under pressure, or the gas hasn't spent that much time really dissolving into the wine. So that's another sign that kind of gives you a hint. And then if you look at the bubble size, this one doesn't seem all that actually bigger. Seems pretty fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes the bubble size can be also a little bit bigger as well in Prosecco than Champagne method. But definitely some pétillance, some bubbles in the wine.
Yeah.
For sure.
But they're quite like, as you know, how I feel about aggressive bubbles. This is not an aggressive bubble.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm looking at the stream of bubbles that are coming in my wine. They seem pretty pinprick. They seem pretty small.
Yep.
Which is great.
Yep.
All right, you get to pick the next person for the nose.
Phil already volunteered.
Yeah. All right, Phil.
I'm in. Okay. It's I get it maybe medium, just about a half inch off the bottle. I get off
Well,
the
before you get to it, is this wine okay? Is this sound?
Oh yeah, I know it's clean. Oh, very
Yeah.
clean.
This one is clean. This one is
Clean.
sound.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And then
intensity.
intensity.
I get that to a medium, between a medium and a medium minus.
Yeah, I would say I smell it like here, which is like literally just off the rim. So I'll call this
Right.
about medium
Oh,
on
that's
my
a
glass.
medium? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Yeah, so it's basically your nose touches the rim or just off the rim. That's about medium. Medium minus is like if your nose is like you have to get your nose in there and really like trying to get it out. That's about medium minus, and light is really like you're struggling, like it's like same thing on here. But so yeah, I start smelling it like just literally right off the rim, like right here. So
Mm,
yeah, I'm gonna call this about medium. Medium intense aromas. Ooh, what do you got?
okay. I get it's kind of like some citrus.
You got any floral before you get to citrus?
Not really. I don't.
Yeah, I get a little bit of floral here. I get a little bit of like a little like honeysuckle, a little bit like a blossomy kind of a deal here. It's not super floral, but there's
It's
definitely a
very,
little bit.
if it is, it's really mild. I
Yeah.
don't.
Any green fruit and then citrus?
Citrus fruit, I do get almost
Yeah,
a grapefruit and a lemon.
yeah, I can see that. Any stone fruit? Any tropical?
Stone fruit, no, and tropical. No, I don't get I was expecting a pineapple flavor smell, but
Why were you expecting pineapple?
it just was.
Yeah. I get a little bit of stone fruit here. Like to me, there's a little bit of a peachiness
Apricot.
here, like a white peach. And usually with the Prosecco, with the Glera, you do get some of that kind of peachy, kind of a nectarine kind of a thing. And that's a pretty common thing to get. So knowing that this is probably mostly Glera, again, I don't have the exact blending percentage, but I would imagine that this is probably like 85% Glera, um, and then maybe 15% Pinot. But nonetheless, it's probably majority Glera. So knowing that, I get a little bit of like that peachy, like a white peach, like a donut peach kind of thing.
Yeah,
Maybe
I can
nectarine.
agree.
Yeah,
Maybe a mild apricot too.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, totally. Any red fruit, any black fruit?
No,
Yeah, me neither.
and certainly no cooked fruit.
I don't know. For some reason, like this wine, and this may be just, the power of suggestion, knowing that there's a color on this wine. If I got this really blind, meaning like if I got this in like a black, non-transparent glass, like would I be able to tell this? I don't know. But like to me, there's some like hibiscus flower kind of like a vibe on this thing. And maybe just again, power of suggestion, knowing that this is a little pink. But yeah, I get a little bit of hibiscus flower. I don't know where that would go in, maybe under floral, maybe red fruit somewhere in there, but like there's a touch of some of that. going on here. But just wanted to note that. All right. Any cooked? But yeah, in general, like I don't get any of these like berries or blackberries or blackberry
No,
plums or anything
no,
like that.
and I don't get a cooked fruit either.
Yeah, very fresh to me. Just like fruit quality is really fresh, really ripe.
Right.
Just like perfectly fresh.
And I
Yeah.
don't get any of the herbaceous flavors.
Yep.
Smell at all.
No herbaceous, no herbal. Yeah, nothing savory here to me. That's just like really, really fresh and all about the fruit and the flower. Any spice, any minerality?
I, no spice, but I get some kind of a mineral smell.
Yeah, me too.
I can't pick it out, but I do.
Yeah, exactly. I get a little bit of like a stony, like wet stone, some sort
Hmm.
of stoniness, like slate, some sort of like a rockiness here for sure. Not a whole lot, but definitely there. Any secondary, any tertiary?
No, this is too fresh.
Yeah, exactly. Too young, too fresh. This
I
is
mean,
all primary fruit driven wine. And like Prosecco is exactly that. It's meant to be young, fresh. It's all about the freshness, all about the youthfulness of the fruit, purity of the variety. Excellent. Great job, Phil. You got to
yeah.
pick the next person for palate.
Any volunteers? Norris, you want to do it? Are you there? Is he there?
Yeah, we're here. He's not in the room at the moment, but yes, we can do it.
All right, Norris and Kirsten. So it's sweetness.
I gotta pour him some. Hold on. His glass is empty. There you go. Okay, we're on the palate.
We're on the palate.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's dry. It's not. Is it
Is it?
off dry? Is it?
I know, right? So this is the interesting part. There's definitely, I can tell there's definitely some sugar on here. I was still like knowing that the extra dry, right? On Prosecco. Again, it can range anywhere. There's a range there, but extra dry is usually 12 to 17 grams of sugar. Yet to me, I agree with you. Perceptively, this wine comes off as dry. Like this wine comes off as somewhere between like, I don't know, somewhere around like 8, 9 grams of sugar, maybe 10 grams of sugar to me.
We were just talking about that.
Which would put it at dry, but knowing that this is extra dry, meaning there's going to be a little more sugar. So before we actually, this is usually not what we do, but before we actually call off the sweetness level, let's actually go to acidity to see how much acid you get on this one.
Medium. I'm gonna say medium, medium plus. Medium, probably more medium plus, I think.
Yeah, there's a ripping acid on this thing. Like I feel it still pulling back here. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, yes, this may have 12 grams of sugar, maybe 15 grams of sugar, but because that ripping acid, you and I are both perceiving this to be like dry. We still call this dry. And that's what I always want to like kind of point out when we're like, as far as we're trying, and that's part of the reason why the sweetness level, people on the grid, they don't give like exact like the amount, because it's also perceptive as well. What is trying to tell you to perceptively taste the wine, but also trying to figure out how much sugar is on this thing. Because I can tell there's more sugar than usual, but like when I really shut it off and I can really pay attention to the sugar level, I can tell there's more sugar than usual. But in general, when I'm just tasting the wine, like this comes off much drier than there's actual sugar on this thing, because perceptively we're not perceiving it to be that sweet because there's so much acid on this thing. So
Yeah.
if on an exam setting, what would I call this? I'd be really tempted somewhere between like dry and off dry, but I think either way, I think is a perfect call. But I think I may go a little off dry just to signal to an examiner that like I'm perceiving sugar. I know that there's some sugar on this thing, but then I will make sure that the acid call that I make on this thing is medium plus to high, just to show that. And then I'll probably make a point about perceptively this comes off much drier than it does. even though most likely it probably has a little more sugar than usual. If I was applying the exam setting, is what I would say.
So
Well, that's why I was like, well, it's dry because it tastes dry to me.
Yeah.
But I knew that you said how much sugar was in it, so so does that make it off dry? But yeah, I can see how that acid balances it out because it does come off as dry.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to talk about tannin. I mean, yes, a little bit of red wine, but it's negligible. Alcohol.
Yeah, medium, but like maybe like I don't know,
Maybe
12.5.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't seem all that high. I mean, Prosecco, you're never going to get that high in Prosecco. I mean, maybe in a flat land, you may get up to like 12.5, maybe 13. But usually, especially when you get to the hillside, you're not going to get that high. I'm thinking like 12. Yeah, 12.5, maybe 11. So.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty low ABV.
I'm never good at the alcohol part.
Drinking too much bourbon, Kirsten.
I guess.
All right, body.
Delicate. I'm not good at the body.
I'm
gonna call it delicate.
No, that's not. That's the moose.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Medium.
Maybe, yeah. Medium to medium minus. Like I don't get a lot of body, but
I'm trying to. I know there's a lot of bubbles in here, but if you got some wine that's been in there for a bit, like
yeah,
there's more.
Yeah, it's like 2%.
Yeah, I'll call this medium as well. It's got some weight, and then usually Prosecco, if you were to get like a bone dry Prosecco, Galera in general is not a huge, like it doesn't have a whole lot of body, but that sugar is what adds that body because it has that sugar. It's another reason why they also add a little bit of sugar. It's not just a style, like a flavor stylistic wise. It's also to add a little bit of body. The sugar adds a little bit of viscosity, a little bit of body. So I'll call this one medium, like 2%. And then mousse.
Delicate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bubbles when you first pour it, but they disappear pretty quickly.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's very common. So champagne, Reserva, Grand Reserva, Cava, basically any traditional method that has spent a long time. Just because they spent such a long time, the gas has really dissolved into the wine, so it doesn't go flat very quickly. However, Prosecco, as soon as the second fermentation is done, they just sell it off. It doesn't spend a whole lot of time under pressure, so these bubbles do blow off much quicker than Cava. So yeah, that's an excellent observation. But as far as the mousse goes, how would you feel? Also think about what like a Cremant, the second week's wines mousse felt like, if you can remember, or the first week, the champagne, even that one, like what that felt like versus what this feels like. Because to me, it is different. And I know we've talked about how mousse on this grid is probably like the least descriptive, least like accurate way of really describe bubbles, because there's so many different ways of describe bubbles. We only given these three choices. But yeah, so just talk to me, whether you pay attention to the mousse or the descriptive words on here, the lexicon of the grid or not, but like how does the bubbles here feel to you versus what you've had in the past?
Less aggressive than what we've had.
Yeah, it's not that
Much less
it's not
aggressive.
very aggressive. I mean, to me, if you're going to use a word on there, probably more towards the creamy.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
It's like that you had said before, almost like the foam on a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's, to me, delicate is those pinprick little things that are coming in and out, and creamy is like as soon as you like. To me, this one just bubbles up so much more. Like as soon as you put it in your mouth and then you start moving it around, it just kind of like completely like creams and just bubbles out because all that gas is trying to escape out of the wine. And this is also kind of, again, not super accurate. It's just the signal that we Psalms wine people send to each other. Like delicate is, the traditional method that's spent a long time creamy is like this Prosecco tank method that just kind of cream like foams up real quickly. Aggressive is like really young wine, young sparkling wine. So yeah, I would call this creamy as well. Flavor intensity.
Medium.
I'm like almost out of wine, so
I know.
you have a little bit more luck than I do. We started with dinner. We had breakfast for dinner, and we
All
started.
right.
I'm gonna say medium.
Yeah, I'm gonna call this about medium as well. It seems to me a little bit better than the intensity on the nose, maybe somewhere between medium and medium plus. But at this point in my glass, I'm not quite there yet to call this medium plus yet. So I'm gonna call this medium as well. Now, do you confirm everything that Phil called out earlier? Is there anything else that screams out at you?
No, I would say you hit it nail on the head.
Yeah, it's I think there is a little more of the floral on the palate than the nose.
Yeah.
But I agree
Yeah,
with
there's a little bit of there's definitely the
minerality too, the like.
yeah, to me there's a textural portion to this wine in the palate that I get. So yeah, all the flavor aroma wise, dead on. Like I get a little bit of that floral, I get a little bit of blossom, a little bit of maybe jasmine, something pretty there. I definitely get stone fruit, the peach, maybe a little bit of apricot, all of that. I totally get that. There are two things. Yeah, everything is fresh, ripe, little bit of that minerality. Not really the herbaceousness, not in terms of unripe, but there are two things that I get on the palate that I didn't necessarily get on the nose that I get a little bit. So there's to me a little bit of this like not herbaceous or herbal, but like savory component. But it's like I don't know why, but my mind goes to like watermelon rind, like the white part of watermelon.
Yeah.
There's some sort of like a watermelon
Yeah.
white rind portiony kind of a thing going on here that I get. And then the minerality here, not only the rockiness, just the actual flavor and the aromas of it, but like texturally, like in my mouth, there's like a real tension in the wine, which is okay. Any wine that's grown on limestone, like I get that limestone tension that I get on limestone wine, and I get it here. And the fact that on a base level prosecco that I'm getting that like limestone tension with these kind of savory and sweet fruit kind of a combination is it's more than just one noted flavors is excellent. So yeah, any secondary, any tertiary?
No.
Nope. Yeah, all fresh right up here. Cool. Taking on, and how long is the finish? The length?
I'm gonna say medium plus. I feel like it's about a medium plus.
I would say medium.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll go all the way to medium plus, Norris, but I'll call this about medium myself. Yeah. Yeah, we'll call this about medium.
my first instinct, but just it seems to linger with me for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, also, you say you guys had this with dinner and it's been open for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, as of right now, I'm gonna call the wine in my glass medium. All right, take it home for us. How good is this wine, and would you age it?
I think that it's probably good. It's because it's balanced. The intensity was like medium.
Mm-hmm.
Complexity, it's not super complex.
Not super complex, no.
No. What am I missing?
Finish.
And then length.
Oh, yeah, that was medium. So mostly medium.
Yeah.
So that would be good.
Yeah, going all the way through. It's kind of balanced, medium intensity, maybe even like medium minus. I don't go with medium minus. But flower, citrus, fruit, watermelon rind, and minerality. I'll call it like a low end of medium, high end of medium minus, but somewhere in there. And then medium length. So all across, medium all across. So I'll call this good wine as well. Would you age this?
I don't really think of aging prosecco. I feel like it's something you're supposed to just drink. So, I
Yeah.
mean, maybe you could for a couple of years, but I don't know. Would it add anything?
Exactly. No, you're dead on. Prosecco is not the purpose of Prosecco, unlike champagne, cava, like I mentioned. It's all about freshness. It's all about just approachability, uh, youthfulness, fruit quality. That's what it's all about. It's not about these kind of old age, tertiary, autolytic, oxidative kind of flavors that you get from champagne or cava or aged champagne or cava. So I would say enjoy this now. This is drinking beautifully. It's in the perfect drinking window where it's meant to be. However, given that this is medium plus acid, there's like searing acidity on this thing. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't think it's going to get better with age. I think because you don't want to lose all that freshness, but I don't think it's going to fall off anytime soon because of the acidity. So I'll say drink this over next 3 years, no problem. If you want to stock up on it and then just drink through that stock and over next 2 to 3 years, I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna go anywhere. But yeah, I wouldn't age it for the purpose of like aging, the increasing complexity through aging. Is what I would say. Um, all right. Any questions about? Good job, everyone. By the way, any questions about anything?
Yeah, if you're in a store and you're looking at all the Prosecco's and you see one that's there, a lot of them are DOC and then
Yeah.
there's the DOCG. Would you prefer that? Would you pick that off the shelf?
Would I pick DOCG off the shelf or DOC?
Right.
In general, yes.
Yeah.
In 99 out of 100 cases, I would. If I didn't know any of the producers, if I looked at what was offered, and then if I didn't know any of the producers, I didn't recognize any of the producers, then I would go with the DOCG. Even within DOCG, like all the things I mentioned earlier, like obviously with a smaller it gets more expensive it's gonna get, but it's still Prosecco, so it's still way more affordable than champagne would be. But if you can see Valdoviadene on the label, Valdoviadene Prosecco Superiore, or Rive on the label, I would definitely pick that over base level Prosecco anytime. Having said that, and then I think you were the one who asked this question last time, Phil, which is like, then is it a good strategy to kind of go for the second label of a good producer? And it's always a good strategy to have. And then, so another thing to do is to kind of see if you recognize any of the producers. So if you look at the back label of this wine, it does say it's made by Suto family. So if you knew, but again, that you would have to know that. You would have to know the Suto family, that you have to know that they actually have a first line brand that's dedicated to Valdoviadene Prosecco. So knowing that this is second label, you know that it's probably coming from the hillside fruit and all of that. But if I didn't know any of that, yes, my bet would be on the DOCG, Valdoviadene, anything with the Rive in the name. Any other questions? Disagreements with any of the calls we
So
made?
just to clarify that, those cheap or the mainstream Prosecco's, they're called dry. They're not extra dry, right? Like
Those. So extra dry can only be used in a very high end. So if you ever see extra dry, well, I'm sorry, extra brut.
extra brut. You would choose that over a GOC.
If you ever see extra brut, because it can only be in Asolo Prosecco DOCG, and that is a excellent area to get Prosecco. So if you ever see extra brut, then you can bet that that's good. But in the Prosecco language, as far as the sugar description, is brut, extra dry, and dry. And it's all confusing for English speakers. Dry being the sweetest.
Right.
So
And that
brut
would
is
be the Manino and those other brands that are just off the shelf. La Marca,
right.
You said, right?
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of La Marca and all of that, they say dry. So a lot of people think, oh, I like dry wine. But what they don't realize is that in the Prosecco world, dry actually means the sweetest of all the wines. So extra dry, which you would think it would be extra additionally dry, should be less sugar. But in the Prosecco world, extra dry is actually drier than dry. I don't know. It's confusing. These fucking Italians. Um, any other questions? Cool. Did you guys like this one? Just out of curiosity.
It's very pleasant.
Yeah. Right? I mean, Prosecco. Based on Prosecco. Prosecco DOC.
It's much
And-
more interesting than normal.
Oh, yeah. Like, this is leaps and bounds better than any other basil Prosecco you will come across. I was shocked when I first came across this thing. And, you know, this month, not only sparkling, but trying to find the best bang for your buck, pound for pound, the best sparkling in their category. I thought this was perfect for it. All right. So having said that, let's play everybody's favorite game. How much do you think this wine is on a retail shelf? How much would you be happy paying for this on a retail shelf? $20.20, Dave T. And that would be excellent, excellent call. $21.18. Anyone else? Kirsten, Norris,
We
2020.
agree with Dave. 2020.
2020. All right. So this wine on a retail shelf would be $18.50. So, like to me, $18.50, like, it's a deal. I would drink this for $18.50 any day of the week, any day, every day. So there you go, folks. Another reason why drink more Prosecco. I personally love Prosecco, well-made Prosecco. I should qualify that. Well-made Prosecco is delightful. It's fresh. It's youthful. It's a excellent thing to share while you're trying to figure out what else to drink or what else to eat. Unfortunately, a lot of Prosecco out there is terrible. But yeah, $18.50. Get yourself a nice, easy, quality Prosecco. Start off the night. Anyways, there you go. Cheers, everybody.
Normally, I wouldn't, if I went in a store and saw rosé Prosecco, I would pass on it. I wouldn't try it. This is good. This is delicious.
Okay, there you go. And Phil, if I didn't know any better, I would normally do the same. If I ever went to a store and saw rosé Prosecco on a bottle, I would not think to get it. But yeah, again, just got to do your homework, I guess. It's a lesson. Any other questions, comments, concerns, disagreements?
No, but thanks for hanging in there with us.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit, I mean, maybe it's problematic, but I feel a little more awake after having some.
Well, you want to try and get past 10 so you can get back on schedule.
Exactly. Anyways,
I'm gonna run, guys, because early morning. But thank you. Happy
Cool.
Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Dave.
happy Thanksgiving. Early morning Thanksgiving.
Don't ask.
Get up and cook the turkey.
No. Europeans don't do Thanksgiving. That's all I can tell you.
I met we met a Belgian couple.
Yes.
Belgian on the boat trip.
Yeah.
Apparently, Friendsgiving is huge in Belgium
It is a big
amongst
thing.
young people. Yeah,
Huge.
they're like, yeah, we're doing turkey, we're doing stuffings. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? You're making turkey and stuffings in Brussels? Like, what are you talking about? But yeah,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
No, it's a big thing.
Yeah, I feel like Dave, you would recognize a lot of, or at least I feel like these are all the places you go to work. Like we had, let's say, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Ukraine, Spain, US, and then Britain.
Okay.
7 different countries represented on that boat.
Anybody whiny?
Anybody whiny?
Yeah.
Some, but there's always it. There's
Put them in
one.
their box.
There's always one too.
Excellent.
But
Well, they can always swim.
touche, touche.
What was the
Touche.
liquor that they drank in Philippines? What did they have a special
A
liquor?
lot of rum. So they have. I drink a lot of rum. It's rum and beer. Beer is really the biggest thing. San Miguel, and San Miguel has like a monopoly in the market. And then rum, and then they make some other rum called, or local vodka, they call it. But it's not vodka. It's not made from grains. I guess it's made from fruit. It's made from palm sugar, like a not even palm sugar, like the palm fruit. Um, they call it lambadog, Lambadog. So they have that quite a bit, but that's like moonshine. It's like, yeah, not much flavor. Um, I really try to get my hands on coconut wine. Apparently, the one of the islands makes coconut wine, but I could not find it. Could not get my hands on it. But I did also hear that it's terrible. But I could not get my hands on
But
it.
they must have had fruit wine there, right? A lot of fruit wine? No?
No, they were not. Yeah, they're not making hooch out of fruit usually. I just saw a lot of beer. Just people drinking a lot of beer. San Miguel is big. Like beer is big out there. And also, it's like it's just so hot and humid everywhere. I think that people just want to drink something cold and sparkling, pour beer on ice on the rocks, and they drink it down there. With a calamansi instead of lime, they use calamansi everywhere. That like a orange and slash lime fruit, which is delicious. But yeah, anyways, hold on. Let me also turn off the recording here. I don't have to